Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the AmandaFest podcast, where our mission is simple. It's to inspire and empower you to take aligned action towards your dream life, whatever that looks like for you. Today, we have another solo episode. Don't know how, but they just keep getting more and more interesting. I'm going to give you updates on love. I'm going to give you updates on business. I'm going to give you updates on my upcoming travels. So, as we've done with every episode, before we dive into this one, we are just going to take a moment to ground. I know I need it. I'm sure you need it. So, let's do it. So, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I invite you to close down your eyes. Start taking some nice deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. I like to put a hand on my heart and one on my belly. And just start tuning into your internal world. Noticing where you're at. Noticing what's coming up. How are you feeling? What's alive for you right now? Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. I want you to start thinking about an intention. Something that you want to be filled up with, something that you want more of. I want you to imagine breathing that intention in through your nose and releasing anything that no longer serves you out through your mouth. We're going to do that together 2 more times. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Last time, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Ha, 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 ha. Shake it out. Do what you gotta do. Welcome back to AmandaFest. My God, I keep saying, I'm like, every 10 days, something crazy goes down and it keeps happening. So let's fucking get into it. I got some feedback from my mom. She's been listening to my podcast recently, and she was like, I love your podcasts. I think they're amazing. I have one note for you. You curse just like a little bit too much. And I was like, okay, I'll note it, but we'll see if I'm able to filter myself. Okay, where to begin? I think we got to start with the romance update. I feel like that is probably the most interesting place to start, and then we'll kind of pivot through. So last I updated you all, I had met somebody. You know, I had the episode about rejection and redirection. I, redid my list of what I was calling in. I created my future partner manifestation list. I got crystal clear on what I was desiring, and then 3 days later, I started a fling, a romance. At the time, I was kind of blown away by the speed of the universe responding to my clarity, because on this list, this guy really checked off so many of these items, right? I was looking for somebody that was spiritually connected, that was creative, that was an artist, that was all of these different things, and he checked many of these boxes, absolutely. And I also believe that the universe with this person was showing me areas to add to my list, right? There were things on the list that weren't there. And there was also a few items on that list that he definitely did not check that I didn't realize how important those things are. Needless to say, this fling has ended. It is completely closed. So it lasted about a month, which is a very long time for me, if you know how I operate. There was a time last year I did about 9 months of celibacy, and then I just started dating again around like last summer. And then after I decided that I was going to start dating, I was being given lesson after lesson, and I was kind of going through men like 2 weeks at a time, which is just... This is just my path, right? This is just the way that the universe is working for me right now. And what I truly believe is happening, like in my gut and in my soul, is that I know that I'm getting much more clear on what I'm calling in for my partner, right? Like I am looking for my partner. I'm looking for somebody to do life with. I'm building this big, beautiful, amazing, wonderful life, and I'm so excited to get to have somebody join me on this journey. And the universe is preparing me for this. As I am dating and having all of these different experiences, I feel like the universe is just supporting me in learning the lessons necessary to be ready for this partner that is coming, that I'm so excited to have enter my field anytime now. This one was so much medicine. So much medicine. I will say, I talked about it in the last episode. There was a lot of rose-colored glasses and excitement, and just there was a lot of really fun energy at the beginning of this. It was very unexpected. I wasn't looking to have a romantic connection while I was here in Florida, since I was leaving so soon. I'm headed to Mexico City on Thursday. So I knew that my time here was temporary. I was super, super focused on building my business and doing all these other things that a romantic connection really wasn't on my radar. While I was working on getting more clarity on what I was calling in, I just didn't really think I was going to meet somebody here. And it happened super organically and really beautifully. And I'm very grateful for this connection. I will always be super respectful when speaking about anybody that I'm in connection with. In general, whether it's recorded or not recorded, I'll never speak poorly of anybody that I had any type of connection with, because I believe that we are all human, and I'm grateful for the experience. And I'm super happy this happened. It was exactly what I didn't know I needed, and exactly what I needed. So where I left off on the last episode, we had connected, we were spending some time together. Fast forward, there was a period of time when my grandpa died, and when I was moving my grandma to assisted living, and he was moving and he was dealing with a whole bunch of things, so we weren't really physically able to see each other as much. There was all these different things keeping us from physically and logistically being able to connect. My number one thing when it comes to being in connection with anybody, and I'll say this, whether it's a fling, whether it's something serious, no matter what it is, and whether it's romantic or platonic, it doesn't matter. My intention when I'm in connection with someone is I need that connection to be in service of my highest good. So when I got back from Thailand in 2017, that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. One of the biggest lessons and one of the biggest takeaways that I took from that trip was you become the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so since then, and in that, throughout my whole journey, throughout my process, I'm always asking myself the question when I'm spending a significant amount of time with anybody. I'm constantly asking myself the question, is being around this person good for me? Is being around this person inspiring me and encouraging me to be the best version of myself? Because I know how I operate, and I am very much a product of my environment, as many of us are. And so when I'm around people that are motivated, that are disciplined, that are taking good care of themselves, that are on their shit, that are, being of service, I am on all of those things as well, right? That's the goal, is that I want to be consistent. I want to be taking care of myself. I want to be working out. I want to be eating right. I want to be showing up in my work. I want to be showing up in my relationships. I want to be around people that prioritize those things as well, because when I'm in that area and in that space, I do the same. I was on a walk this morning thinking about my time working with Glenn, the actor that I worked with back in my Hollywood days. And one of my favorite parts of working with him, and I remember I said this to him when I said yes to this job, is I was like, he is so aligned in so many areas that I was like, if your way of living rubs off on me in any capacity, that's amazing. And it did. I spent 4 years, 6 years total, but 4 years one-on-one, spending every single minute of every single day with somebody that was hardworking, that was driven, that was motivated, that took good care of themselves, that prioritized their relationships, that prioritized their families, that was hustling, that was all of these things and all of these categories and all of these areas that I want to excel in. He was exemplifying. And so I look back at that period of my life and I was like, I was working out, I was eating well, I was motivated. All of these areas of my life were so in line because I was surrounded not just by him, him, but by everybody in our sphere and everyone in our circle. It was just, that was what it was. There was nothing less than that. And so throughout my travels and throughout my experiences and throughout my relationships, I have been noticing, and I very keenly am noticing, when I am around people that might not be fully in integrity with those things. And again, I'm not to say that I'm completely perfect. I'm saying that I need to be around people that are up here so that I can match them. Because when I start to be around people that are slacking off, that aren't eating well, that are not prioritizing their work, it's very easy to fall into that. It's just easy to fall into what you're around. And so for me, I've just been extremely mindful of who am I surrounding myself with. And all of this to say, in my connection with this person, and it's not any fault of his, he was going through his own personal things, he's dealing with a breakup, he's dealing with a move. It doesn't matter what the reasons are, but at this chapter, at this phase, at this period in life, witnessing and being in the energy of somebody that is not fully in integrity with the things that I am desiring to step into didn't feel fully aligned. But I was like, well, it's a fling. It doesn't really matter. I'm getting certain needs met, because going back a few episodes ago, I was talking about how I had this pattern of dating men that didn't see me, that didn't value me, that didn't just see my magic, that didn't think I was fucking amazing and God's gift to the world. And this guy did. Like, this guy really saw me. He really saw me, and it felt really good to be seen. It was amazing. He saw me on so many different levels, on professional levels, on personal levels, on spiritual levels. He just truly saw my magic, and I saw his magic. But a lot of what I was seeing and a lot of what I was experiencing were two different things. I have the tendency in connection with others to see people's potential. And I definitely, at the beginning of this connection, really saw his potential. I saw all these amazing, wonderful things that he was aspiring to do and creating and this and that. But at the end of the day, the way in which he was showing up in the moment was not in alignment with what I was truly desiring. And so it was something that I noticed pretty early on. Even in the episode, a few episodes back, I was talking about the magic and the possibility and being interested and leaning in with curiosity but caution. But there was still, from the get-go, elements of, I don't think this is my person. This is just somebody for now to teach me some lessons, and I'm here for this. And to be fair, like, he and I discussed this and he and I agreed that this was a for now experience. But because we were both such open, loving people, we decided to go into this connection with that in mind, but still with our whole hearts. And so cut to, now we're a few weeks in, and these last couple weeks, there have been many things that I've noticed along our connection together that were not fully in integrity, that I sort of let go, that I said in my mind, it's okay, it doesn't matter, this is just a for now, this doesn't matter, it's fine, it's okay. But it reached a point during these last few weeks, twice actually. So I was over at his place, and I came over, and he's navigating his own shit and he's dealing with these things, but the energy felt super off. So I had stayed the night, and I woke up the next morning with him, and we were supposed to go have this whole day together. We were actually supposed to spend the whole weekend together. And energetically, I had already, even before I had gotten to his house, I was already starting to have these doubts and feelings of, is this truly in integrity anymore? Is this in alignment? Is this something that I should be investing my time and energy in? I was already questioning these things. And then I went over to his place, and there were just certain things that were off. I got there super late, and then he was making dinner, and dinner didn't happen till like 10 o'clock, and I was exhausted, and I fell asleep. And I think that there was an energy of disappointment because I was asleep, and there was just all of this mixed energy that things fell off. I'm an intuitive person, I know, and it's not to say it's his fault, not to say it's my fault, but there was just an energetic misalignment when I got there. And when I woke up the next morning, it felt really uncomfortable. The moment that I feel I'm not wanted somewhere, whether it's energetically, logistically, whatever it is, I'm fucking out. Like, my trauma response just goes into self-protection mode, and I don't want to be there. And so when I started to feel that the energy was really off and strange, knowing that he's dealing with what he's dealing with, but still you can understand what somebody is going through, and still it's not an excuse for behavior not being aligned. And it's not to say that he's wrong, that it was bad, but it's to say this is misaligned. There's an energy here. It doesn't matter why it's misaligned, but I'm feeling it and I'm going to speak to it. And so that morning when we woke up, I was really quiet and I basically was like, hey, I'm gonna head out. And this turned into World War III. It turned into this whole big thing. And for me, I was just like, I just wanted to leave. And an old version of me probably would have woken up before he woke up and just left the house. This version of me stayed until he woke up to like have the conversation. And again, like a second old version of me would have walked out the minute things started to escalate, but I stayed and I sat down on the couch with him and I had a conversation and we talked it through, and it still ended on this like really uncomfortable, like we're not seeing eye to eye, like we're both speaking our truth, but our truth is not aligned. And so I left on really bad terms that morning. I was really proud of myself though, again, because you know that you've truly grown when you show up differently than an old version of you would have. Right? That's the marker of true growth. When you recognize old me would have responded like this, but I am choosing to respond as opposed to react. And so even in that moment, recognizing that I was choosing something different than what an old version of me would have chosen was extreme growth. And I was so glad. And I even said to him in that moment, I was like, to be fully honest, this confrontation right now, this exchange, if this was the reason for a connection and this was the medicine that I needed, this was amazing. Like, I'm so grateful that we're sitting here having this conversation. I'm so grateful that I get to have the opportunity to practice showing up differently. And it was like this really bittersweet, like we left on weird bad terms, but also I left feeling really good because again, I look at all relationships and all connections and all experiences as medicine and opportunities for growth. And knowing going in that this guy wasn't my forever person, but that this was going to be a lesson, that this was going to be medicine. If I was receiving the medicine, I was like, great, awesome, this is perfect. So I was sad, of course, like any time you are closely connected to somebody and things don't end on good terms, doesn't really feel good. So I ended up going home. I spent the weekend with my family. I did some self-care. I did some saunas, went to the gym, hot tub, like really just spent the weekend taking care of myself. And then that following week, he started messaging me. And even right after that as well, I think that he didn't fully respond in integrity with who he is and who he is trying to be. And he sent me all these messages taking accountability for the way that he showed up. And we ended up having a phone conversation that was this really, again, beautiful healing conversation, talking about how we each communicated and how we both could have communicated better, and each of us taking accountability in these different areas. But also I got the opportunity to express like what I'm looking for in partnership, even if it's a temporary partnership, right? I think that it was pretty known that he and I aren't a good fit in the long term, that this isn't a good time. He's going through a breakup, I'm leaving. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of misalignment in terms of our connection, but there's also a lot of alignment too. Obviously, there was a reason why we connected. I think he brought out this really fun, free-spirited, bohemian side of me that I really love and enjoy. But I kept going back to, my friend Sarah used to always say to me, she was like, in relationships, there needs to be like an anchor and a sail, right? And the sail is the one that's kind of like floating and in the ether, and the anchor needs to be the one that's like holding it down. It's like that masculine and feminine duality. And I'm a fucking sail. I am nomadic. I'm living in my feminine. I'm following my purpose. I'm doing all these things. And I need a man that's fucking holding it down. And God bless this man. He is not that. And that's okay. It's beautiful. He's not for me. And that's okay. I'm fully at peace with that. But all of this to say, we ended up having this beautiful conversation. We ended it on like, hey, let's just be on good terms. But it wasn't clear as to whether or not we were both willing to open it up romantically again. And then I sat with it for a few days and I was like, you know what? I'm leaving for Mexico in a week. I am really desiring physical connection. We had this beautiful clearing conversation. I feel like we're in a really good place. I feel like we're on the same page. I brought up some things to him about just observations of the way he was not showing up in integrity with who I believe him to be and who he says he wants to be. And it seemed like that whole week he was like texting me and sending me messages, like really trying to show me how much he's trying to show up in integrity for himself, for me. But it was very cute and very sweet and very wholesome that whole week. I was like, I'm so proud of you. You know, it felt like everything that I had said and shared. And again, I always say I'm always only sharing from a place of love. It's never from a place of judgment. It's always from a place of love. And it felt like whatever I said landed on him so intensely that he was making these big, massive life changes, or so it seemed. And so I was like, wow, first of all, that felt so good that like you heard me. And second of all, it was just so beautiful to see him taking strides and steps towards getting back into alignment with the potential that I saw in him, with the potential that I know that he believes in himself. And so I was like, hey, I'd love to see you again before I leave. And so we like reconnected again. This was where I made the mistake. So we spent a whole day together. I came over the night before, and then we spent the day, and I was meant to stay the next night because I had an event in Miami the next day. And again, there were a lot of things throughout the night, throughout the day. Again, me just sitting here observing, not judging, but just observing, and a lot of behaviors that were not in alignment with what I'm desiring to be around. And again, I was like, it's okay, it doesn't matter, right? It's like when you see the red flags, when you see the things, you have to fucking acknowledge it. And this is what I'm realizing, and this is what I'm recognizing, and this is a different lesson that came up for me a little bit earlier. It's like, and it's sometimes you see it and you pretend you don't want to see it because it's more convenient not to see it, but it's there, and it was always there, and I was seeing it way more clearly, but I was ignoring it again, and I was just like, all right, let's just try to have a good time. Let me just take this for what it is, and I'm okay with these other things that aren't in integrity, that aren't in alignment. Like, that's okay because this isn't my person. And right, I'm like compartmentalizing and rationalizing, and I'm going through the day, and we get to the evening, and I had said earlier in the night, because he lives an hour away from where my parents are, I don't like driving late at night. And I was like, hey, if I'm not staying over, let me know so I can go now. And he was like, no, I want you to stay. So we're continuing the night. Things are good. And then he just kind of flipped a switch and started going through his own process, and things got really weird and uncomfortable. And it felt like he didn't want me there anymore. And now it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like feeling like he doesn't want me there because he wants to be alone or go through his process or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not even mad at him. I'm pissed at myself, to be completely honest, because I'm like, of course this was going to happen again, Amanda. Like, there were so many warning signs leading up to this. I shouldn't have come back in the first place. This was my sign from the universe to be like, listen to your fucking intuition. When it doesn't feel aligned, cut it off, clean it out. Like, it's done. And so energy got really fucking weird, and I like got up pretty abruptly. I was wearing his shirt, and I got up and I like put my clothes on, and I like just was like, I shouldn't have come. And I left, and I shut the door. And it's funny because the first time that happened, I was really sad and in my feels. It was all these emotions. And the second time it happened, it was like so clean and clear and obvious. I was like, of course, I'm just done. Like, no. So I drove home. He was sending me all these messages. I had an event the next day that I was more focused on. So I was like, I'm going to not even look at his messages until this event is over. I went and did the event, which I'll tell you guys all about in a minute. But I went and did the event. And he had sent me more messages, and I was like feeling into what I wanted to respond, because at the end of the day, I didn't want to go back and forth. I didn't want it to be like a he said, she said, you did, I did. I was like, this isn't about accountability. This isn't about right, wrong. This is what happened. This is what I was going through. Like, it's not about any of that. I was like, at the end of the day, this is not an aligned connection for me. Period. End of story. Done. And so I was feeling into it, and I said back to him, I was just like, to be fully transparent, I feel complete with this connection, and I wish you the best on your healing journey. And he sent me a bunch of messages back after that, and I just sent him back, I wish you love. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, I'm not mad, I'm not angry. We still haven't had a conversation to this day. I'm very curious if he's going to listen to this podcast. But again, like, it's no ill will towards him. He did nothing wrong. I did. Because I didn't listen to my intuition, because I knew that this was not an aligned connection. This was never going to be an aligned connection. There were elements of it that were aligned, that were fun in the moment. And then the moment that it felt like it was no longer aligned, I should have and will in the future cut it clean right then and there. And I am so proud of myself right now for how I handled this experience, because I feel so clean, so clear, and making room. I'm making room for what is more aligned. And this experience taught me so much. I have so much clarity on truly what I'm looking for in partnership, what I'm open to, what I'm available to, even for these, like, you know, when people ask me, it's like, what am I looking for? I'm ultimately looking for partnership, but in the interim, I'm open to experiences that are going to teach me and support me in that growth path. It's all about growth. And this was such a beautiful lesson, like such a beautiful lesson. And I feel like one of the biggest takeaways from this experience, beyond my growth, beyond choosing something different, beyond responding versus reacting, is this idea of ambition versus discipline. I think this connection really brought that up for me. Is I've always said I want someone that's ambitious. I am someone that's ambitious, and ambition is amazing. I'm a dreamer. I want to be surrounded by dreamers. I want to be surrounded by people that have delusional aspirations and that are desiring to create magnificent, wonderful, magical lives. Hello, that's why we have this fucking podcast. There's nothing I love more than having these conversations and just being open to the possibility of the magic of what can unfold. But ambition cannot exist without discipline. Ambition without discipline is simply delusion. And I want delusion that actually has the possibility to become reality. And the only way that delusion can become reality is if you are both ambitious and disciplined. If you have crazy, wonderful, big, aspirational, semi-delusional dreams, and you have the discipline and the work ethic and the ability to show up consistently and take aligned action towards making that happen. And so I feel so good about this experience. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, wish this man absolutely nothing but love. I'm so grateful that I had this connection. I'm so grateful that I got to experience what it felt like to be seen, to be valued, to be admired, to be respected. And now that is the fucking bar. If I'm with someone that doesn't see me the way this man saw me, they're out. And I'm also desiring somebody that has both ambition and discipline, that is showing up in integrity right now with who they say they want to be, and that ambition and discipline is in line with my ambition and discipline, because I'm a fucking hard worker, and I know that I am deserving and worthy of the type of connection that I'm seeking. And anytime that I'm saying yes to something that is not that, I am not allowing the space for what is. And so I close that chapter with so much love, with so much gratitude. I truly hope that this man takes all of the medicine from this experience as well. I hope that I inspired him to show up in integrity with who he says he wants to be. I truly hope he reaches all the potential that I see in him. And at the same time, I wish him nothing but love. And that chapter is 100% closed. So, wow, that was fun. That was the love update. Let's move over to business, shall we? So, business-wise, so we know we did the whole Miami Music Week thing. Me and Made for Magic had been chatting for the last couple of months about collaborating on creating an event in Miami, of us wanting to do our own thing. This has been something we've been working on in the background of each of our brands, because we decided her brand Made for Magic, my brand for AmandaFest, like we still wanted to keep those as separate entities, but we were just going to work on this collaboration project. Her and I had a conversation shortly after Miami Music Week that was very clean and clear of just us deciding that we're going to put a pause on creating a Miami-based event right now, because each of us has different priorities at the moment. She is focusing on her DJing speaker experience, which is so cool, which we did a workshop with, and I'll tell you about a little bit later in this episode. And I have been feeling that as well, of feeling like, I don't fully live in Miami right now. I'm not sure if creating a Miami-based event is like the number one priority for me. It's something that's cool and exciting and definitely something I can see myself doing, but it didn't fully feel like the thing. And so her and I had this really beautiful, clean, clear conversation, and we decided to put that project on a pause and put our collaboration efforts on a pause right now. Not to say that down the line and in the future and randomly we can't do pop-ups together. We've already established this really beautiful working relationship together, which I think was so important. Again, going back to when things no longer feel aligned, just speaking to it. I feel like her and I coming together at the moment that we did, she's the reason that I stayed in Miami this whole time. Look at all of these amazing things that have unfolded this entire time that I've been here. She's somebody that I've hired in the past as a coach and worked with, and the fact that I just got to be in a container with her, working with her for the last few months, building something, learning from her, being in her energy. She is absolutely somebody that inspires me, that is both ambitious and disciplined, someone that I desire to be more like. And so getting to work with her has been an absolute dream. And getting to have these hard conversations that might be uncomfortable, but when you have two people that are fully tapped in and tuned in and able to have clear and conscious communication, it's like a dream. So I'm so grateful that I had that experience with her. I'm so grateful that her and I both mutually came up to the same idea of, hey, this isn't the thing right now, so let's decide what we want to focus on most. And then that led me to, I've been working with a coach for the last few months as well, which was a funny story. I don't know if I told you guys. A few episodes back in New York, there was a guy that I was dating. I ended things with him because I didn't feel like he fully saw me and believed in what I was doing. And then it's ironic because he ended up becoming my business coach a few months later. He offered me free coaching container because it was in line with what he was building and doing. And I said yes, and we've been working together, and it hasn't fully felt aligned, to be completely honest, this whole time. But I wanted to see it through and wanted to kind of experience whatever he had to bring to the table and just try it. And so in my dissipation of focus on Miami events with Alex, I used that as an opportunity as well to have this conversation with this coach and say, hey, because we were doing like weekly check-in calls to talk about progress on building my business and monetizing my business. And so I had a loving conversation with him as well about putting that on pause too. Again, with all of these, not closing any doors officially, but just being clear and honest about the nature of the relationship, right? I was like, we're having these weekly calls. Right now, the focus has shifted. It doesn't feel like there's a need or a alignment right now to be doing this work together. So why don't we put it on pause? And it reminds me of a few years ago when I broke up with my therapist. It was like the most awkward, uncomfortable thing I ever had to do. But I was like, at that point in my journey, I was like, I'm doing weekly therapy and I don't feel like I'm getting anything out of it. So I need to be honest with my therapist and tell her like, hey babe, this is not aligned anymore. Wish you the best. And so lots of shifts the last couple weeks, the business partner, the coach, the romantic connection, all of these things like moving and shifting and making space for what's more aligned. So what has come into the ether in the last 2 weeks since all of this has happened is I'm officially a coach. I have my first one-on-one client. We're in a month container together, and this happened super organically and really fucking fast. I have been dancing around the idea of coaching for a while. Obviously, I've been on my own personal development path. I've been doing coaching courses. I've been getting clarity on how to build an online business, but I have been holding myself back and feeling like it just wasn't the right time. And I woke up one morning and I was having a conversation with my mom in the sauna about coaching because she said that she had somebody that if I was coaching that she would want to refer me to or refer them to me. And this was after the first breakup with the guy. So it was like the timing, it was like this door closes, this door opens, right? It's like do. So I started thinking about it. This is in the morning. Her and I are in the sauna. We're talking about coaching. Then we're at breakfast and we're continuing to talk about it. And then I was like, okay, I wanted to set a call with my friend to talk about setting up a container who's a coach as well and just get clarity on like, hey, like what do your containers look like? What do you charge? What does that look like? And so I was really making moves towards it that day. And then that evening, my grandma, who is in assisted living, was having some emotional issues. You know, my grandpa had just passed away about a week prior, and she was having trouble sleeping at night, and she was feeling really anxious. And so I went over there and I basically coached her into shifting her mindset and was giving her tools that she could use when she's feeling anxious, and teaching her about breathing techniques and explaining the science of how emotions work and how they move through us. And so I was doing all of this work with her. And at that time, there was somebody else in the room who overheard all of the guidance that I was giving her. And I just out of nowhere was like, yeah, I do this professionally. And that person had overheard and essentially ended up asking me questions about the type of work that I do, and started to share about things that he was moving through and ways that he could possibly need support. And basically within 24 hours, I went from being like, all right, I'm going to put together a coaching container to I have my first client. So that happened really fucking fast, and it was awesome and just a testament to taking aligned action. I've been making steps towards this. I've been chugging along, but it was like in 24 hours, it all came together. And it was like, I have a contract, I have offers, I have containers, I am an official coach. It's so cool. And in the midst of that, I put together a few different offers. So I have this 1 month coaching container that I'm doing to support people with anything that they might be moving through. But I have different packages now that when people want support and when people love my energy and want to work with me, there's a possibility to do that. There's a way to do that. So that's super cool. And then other opportunities that have come up this week. So I've been following all of these different accounts on Instagram that are really aligned with what I'm doing, right? Just really networking in real life, networking on social media. And this girl followed me a few weeks ago, and her account is like a disco Pilates account. And her and I started DMing back and forth. She ended up inviting me as a guest to her upcoming event in Miami. And I responded to her saying, this looks awesome. I would love to offer you my AmandaFest pregame meditation. I think it would be a great addition to your event. So her and I were chatting on Instagram DM. We ended up getting on a phone call. We had this amazing phone call. It turned out that she had found me on the wild. She had seen me at Daybreaker during Miami Music Week because I had a bubble gun, and people noticed me because I was really supporting building the vibe. And she was like, oh, I noticed somebody with the bubble gun. And then I guess I had commented something on the Daybreaker Instagram. And so she found me through a combination of in real life and internet. But it was because of how I was showing up in these spaces that I was going to. And so we had this incredible conversation. I pitched her the AmandaFest pregame meditation. She loved it. The next day, she was like, I'm a full fuck yes. And I got to do my first official deal, right? I've done the pregame meditation a handful of times at a bunch of volunteer-based events, but this was my first official real event that I was like, hey, I'm going to start charging for this. So now I am officially getting paid to do my pregame meditations. I am officially a coach. That also inspired me so they were going to have goodie bags at the end of that event, and this was going to be like 40, 50 people. And so it inspired me to create business cards. So I made little AmandaFest business cards, and on the back of them, it has intentions on them, like I am affirmations. Little by little, the business is coming together. Pieces are coming together in such an aligned way. Things are happening, and they're vibing, and they're aligning, and it feels amazing. And so cut to, I've been going back and forth. The friend that I ended up calling to support me in creating my coaching containers, she is actually stepping into event facilitation. She's based in Australia, and she is hosting, like, the area in Australia that she's in has never had anything like this, but she's been seeing me posting all about these sober dance parties and this intentional partying. And so she's hosting an event in Australia next month, and it's going to be like the first sober event of its kind in that area. And so her and I had a phone conversation yesterday, and basically we're going to work together. She has asked me to curate the AmandaFest pregame meditation, and I am going to script the pregame for her. I'm going to support her with her script for the event. So she's going to open and close the event. We're going to do an opening meditation, a closing meditation, and we're going to do a consultation where I'm supporting her on how to curate a high vibe, sober, intentional event, and how to hold the space. So now I have 2 coaching clients. I'm doing one-on-one container supporting somebody in getting back into the dating world, and now I'm doing another coaching, a one-on-one container supporting somebody in curating a high vibe intentional event. So feeling super aligned, really excited. There are so many opportunities kind of in the ether unfolding. I also locked down. I'm headed to Mexico City on Thursday, and I'm going to be facilitating the AmandaFest pregame meditation at the Ecstatic Dance out there. The whole reason why I'm going to Mexico City is I'm going to see some circle shows. So it's CERCLE. This is a Paris-based company that I've been following for years now, and the way that I found them originally is they have a YouTube channel where they take high-end DJs to exotic locations all around the world, and they film full DJ sets in these locations. It's absolutely amazing. It's my favorite thing to put on TV when I have company over, when I have my own home. And I've been following them forever. I'm so obsessed with them. This past summer, I connected with the head of brand partnerships, and he and I got on a Zoom together because I really wanted to start making connections within the company, and we totally vibed, and he actually connected me with the guy that is leading the experiences. So there's a leg of Circle that does high-end experiences. So basically in Mexico City, they're doing this thing called Circle Odyssey, and it's going to be a series of shows. I think it's going to be like 360 immersive, no phone, super intentional, really beautiful, curated, amazing experience. But they have these things called Circle Moments. So there's going to be a group of people that are there that are paying for a full package. So they're staying at a 5-star hotel, they're doing excursions, they're getting private, intimate concerts with the headliners, and then they're going to the shows. And so I got to connect with the head of Circle Moment, who's organizing that leg of it, and he and I are both arriving in Mexico City on the same day, and we're going to connect, and my intention is to pitch him the pregame meditation for that group. So hopefully I can start building that relationship and collaborating with them. I am in the process of pitching to a few other really cool events in Miami. It's so funny. It's this beautiful balance of allowing the universe to flow and just take me where it wants to go, and ambition and discipline, taking aligned action towards what I want. I have this dream list of collaborators and events that I'd love to work with. In addition to that girl that did the Pilates and disco thing, there's a couple other disco girls on Instagram. There's one girl that does disco Pilates. There's one girl that throws day rave discos. And there's another girl that teaches 70 disco dance classes. And I was like, oh my God, how fucking cool would it be for us all to collaborate on an event? So I put us all on an Instagram text chain, and we're all going to get on a call later this week. So I'm super excited about that. And yeah, things are just unfolding, and I'm allowing them to unfold. And I never had any intention to plant roots in Miami, but it really, really, really feels like things are just naturally unfolding in Miami and Delray. And I'm just riding the wave. I'm continuing to do my market research and go to these exotic locations. I'm so excited. I have 3 weeks in Mexico City as of right now. I have my Airbnb set. I got my flight. I'm leaving on Thursday. I'm going to these shows. I'm doing ecstatic dance. And my intention while I'm there is just to fucking lock in. I set my intentions this morning on the beach, and I was like, I want to be in full integrity with who I say I want to be. I want to be working out every day, doing my yoga training, taking care of myself, making steps towards my AmandaFest business, facilitating where I can, seeing shows, making connections, doing all these things. And this is the life, like I'm living it. Like it's not like I'm working towards my dream life. This is my dream life. My dream life is to get to do things that light me up, is to get to inspire and empower others through just being, and show people the power and the beauty of community and connection and collaboration and intention. And I'm so excited, and I'm so grateful, and I'm so honored to be doing this. And I don't know what's going to happen. So I have a few things that I'm going to be pitching towards for the summer in Miami. I'm looking at certain festivals and things that I want to pitch towards. So I don't know what's going to unfold. I truly don't. I have no idea. But I also want to just loop back quickly on the disco event. So it happened last weekend, and it was amazing. First of all, she did such a good job of putting this event together. It was at this amazing venue in Miami. She had epic, really aligned vendors. There was a DJ. She did the disco Pilates class outside, and then I did the pregame meditation for about 50 people. And this was the first time that I did the pregame meditation for a non-woo-woo event, and the feedback was so amazing. I had like 10 people come up to me in tears after it, saying how powerful and how moving that experience was. And I was just like, okay, okay, universe, such confirmation that I'm on the right path. Such confirmation that the universe and the world needs this right now, and such confirmation that I am the person that is meant to be doing this. And I am so humbled and honored and grateful and excited for what is unfolding, and for the feedback that I got from this event is just fuel to my fire to continue to iterate and create and see what unfolds. And so with that, that's what's happening right now. We leave for Mexico on Thursday. I've got all these amazing collabs sort of in the ether, and some that I'm locking in right now, some that I'm still pitching, but a lot of really cool potential energy sort of brewing right now. And then tomorrow I am interviewing the biggest guest I've had so far. I'm so excited and just feeling really inspired and lit up and grateful. I feel like the absolute best way to show up in life is to look at every single experience as an opportunity for growth. I am so grateful for what has unfolded the last few weeks, for the opportunities that have been presented with me, the opportunities to respond versus react, the opportunities to show up differently than an old version of me might have, the opportunities to have even more clarity on what I'm stepping into, to have even more clarity on what I'm calling in for partnership, for friendship, for collaboration, for business. And I think if we could just wrap this entire episode up in a bow, it's truly ambition plus discipline equals your dream life. Period. End of story. If you are somebody that is ambitious, that has big dreams, that has big aspirations, and you're disciplined enough to show up in integrity with who you say you want to be, and to show up consistently and to continue to make those strides towards that crazy, delusional, ambitious dream, your success is fucking inevitable, okay? I'm sorry, Mom, I curse, but it is what it is. Your success is inevitable if you are committed. If you are committed to showing up in integrity with who you say you want to be, if you are delusionally ambitious and beautifully disciplined, your success is inevitable. And I know that I am these things, and I know that my success is inevitable, and I feel it. I feel like I'm on the verge of something so big and so magical and so much bigger than me. It's not about me. It's not about clout. It's not about any of these things. It's how can I just allow what wants to come through me to come through me, and how can I be a vehicle and a messenger of creating a better world. Truly, like, my goal is to have massive impact, to support as many people as humanly possible, and the only way that I'm going to be able to do that is if I find success in what I'm doing. And so I'm so excited for what's going to unfold. I cannot wait. The next time I see you guys, I will be in Mexico, so I'll have so many updates about all that. I think I will have already seen those shows, so definitely tune in to the next solo podcast, but also tune in to the next episode, because I have some really amazing, super aligned, really inspiring guests coming up. And yeah, I'm just so grateful to have this space and this platform to get to connect, to get to share, and hopefully inspire. So if you like this episode, please like, comment, subscribe, send it to a friend, take a screenshot, put it on your story on Instagram. I love hearing from you. I love hearing that you guys enjoy these episodes, and I'm excited to continue living my life and sharing it with you. So here we go. Sending you all so much love, so much gratitude, and I'll catch you on the next one. Mwah.